morning, booktube. So it's time for a literary update number 5, I believe. First of all, I just got another gift. And I'm supposed to be getting one more thing, I believe, today or tomorrow. Hopefully, I'm aiming for today. I'm hoping for today, but, and I have a book I'm hoping to get as a gift. Not that it should be about that, and but there are, sometimes, there's books sometimes you set your sight on, and those are the ones you want in the moment. But my problem is I still want to be surprised on birthday, on Christmas. I don't want to know everything I'm getting. I mean, I do send people my family and close friends my Amazon wish list, but I also want to have some semblance of surprise, so I don't tell them if there's specific things in mind. I just, luckily on Amazon there's you can make something you can alter the priority of something. You can make something high priority or highest priority or low priority or lowest priority, or you don't have to leave a priority. It's just medium where, yes, you would like it, but you don't absolutely have to have it. And there's some classics, like some Dickens classics that I want. And so I'm thinking then this last one isn't any of those. And because I did mention to my mom that I wanted to get the 4th book in the Temeraire series. So if she remembered that might be it, because I did put importance on it a while back. So I don't know. So which I do want. It's the thing, I want everything. I mean, not everything on that list in the moment, but there, I have quite a few things that are high priority or highest priority. It's just like I said, in the moment there are classics, for instance, that I do really want now. And I know it shouldn't be about that. And I do appreciate what I receive. I do. I really am glad. I'm not like a bratty little child that's like, I don't want that. I wanted that. In fact, one of my favorite movies, Babe, about the pig, the farmer who gets attached to the pig, and the pig becomes kind of his little. By the end of the movie, he has the pig in the sheep rearing performance thing. Well, there's a scene where his grandkids come to visit, and the grandfather works so hard to make his granddaughter a dollhouse. He puts in so much effort. He does every little detail. He paints it. He builds it. Everything. And the granddaughter comes, and his grandkids come, and the granddaughter opens it, and it's not the one she wants. It's not the one on the commercial, and she starts crying again. Upset. I don't want that one. I wanted the one on the TV. And it's like, your grandfather. Do you know how much effort your grandfather put in that thing to make that for you? And all you can do is pitch a hissy fit because it's not the one you want. It's like that. I always think about that when I always remind myself of that whenever. I mean, I know it's a movie, but I always remind myself of that scene whenever I receive a gift, and it's not exactly the thing I wanted. I always try to remember, but it's one of the things I wanted, but it's not the thing I wanted in the moment. I try to remember, or if it's something that kind of deviated from my Amazon wish list. Like last year for Christmas, my sister got something that was from my Amazon that wasn't on my Amazon wish list. So I always try to remember, don't be a brat about it, just be appreciative and grateful. And like I said, I'm always happy if I receive a book. But even if I don't receive a book, I'm still happy because I appreciate my family members and friends put in the effort to get me this, to give me something. And it shouldn't be about, and it's not about that, about the getting the gift. It's about the fact that the people who love you want to give you something to show their love. So I always remember, but I am hoping for, there are some classics I'm hoping for, especially like a Dickens classic or Anthony Trollope classic. But anyway, what I ended up receiving yesterday was the 2nd book in this series, the Hangman's Daughter series, which and I haven't started reading it yet, but it's a series I'm really interested in, I'm intrigued by. And it was one of these things where I got one of the books from the series, not realizing it's part of a series, and I feel like it's one of those series that you could technically get away with reading them out of order and be fine, But I gotta admit, at the time, and I think it was partly because it was a library book, and you see these books are kind of thick. They're a bit chunky. So at the time, but they had these really cool French flaps. I really like that. But it's a translated work, so of course. So I think it didn't help that it was a library book, and it was like I was feeling rushed, even though, again, I know I can just re-borrow it from the library. But I never really like that. As I've said a million times before, I don't like that hanging over me. That eventually I'm gonna have to return it. Like, it kind of annoys me that on the Libby app you only have a week to borrow a book, and then you have to return it. And I'm gonna be getting the next book unless I decide to borrow one more book before it. The next one I'm gonna listen to is The Dutch House, and it's actually narrated by Tom Hanks, which is really cool because I've not stumbled on any audiobooks that are narrated by actors, and I love the idea of an actor narrating an audiobook because it's just another performance for them, and I think that is really cool. But those I think are a little more costly. Audiobooks are not cheap anyway. They're like $30, or maybe even more than that, because of course a lot of them have a production value and stuff like that. So I get it. It's just also like I want to buy audiobooks, but I'm not made of money. And like the thing with Libby is it doesn't have a big selection of audiobooks. Like I think I already talked about this. I was looking for Charles Dickens, and it was not there. There was only one Charles Dickens there, and that was A Christmas Carol. And then I also looked for Jane Austen. There's only two. Luckily, one of the ones I was interested in listening to or reading at some point was on there, not just Pride and Prejudice, or not just any of the ones I've already read. So I was able to get that, listen to Mansell Park on audiobook, because it was the only other one that was there other than Pride and Prejudice. But anyway, but this is a medieval mystery series, and it's like, oh, and there's the Deckled Edges. What I personally like, I know not everybody likes Deckled Edges because they're so thick, so sometimes it's kind of hard to turn the pages, but I personally like it because it makes it look like very old-fashioned. I love the vintage look on books. But yeah, so I got it from the library, and I just didn't, at the time I was not into it. So I want to try it again, especially since I got the first 3 books. So I'm determined to like it because my mom spent the money, and I spent the money to get all the I spent the money. In fact, I thought, like, I got the books on a day when we were having a sale for buy one paperback, get one free, but then apparently it did not count, even though these are clearly paperback books. I guess they meant specifically mass market paperbacks or something. I do not know, but I personally was annoyed by that, but I paid it, of course. I didn't pitch a hissy fit about it. But, so I bought them, so I definitely spent the money and got those for like $6, I think they would be $6 or $8. No, I think $6, because I think a paperback is $3 normally. So I think it would be, so I got 2 at that time, books 1 and 3, so I think that would make it $6. And some change, of course. So I don't know how much this is. Oh, almost 20. So my mom said a lot, so I better like it. And I'm sure I will, because I like to believe, or at least I believe, it was just bad timing on that when I got that one, and that was in the middle of the series. So even though I do think you could potentially read them out of order, because I feel like it's a companion series, that's the impression I'm getting, like reading the back description and stuff. But, at the same time, I'm not 100% on that, and there were times when there was things that I was reminded of that were in the previous books, I'm assuming, and so I was a little like caught off guard by those things. But anyway, so this is book 2, The Dark Monk, no, don't you dare fall on me. those there for those I don't fall off my lap. And then this one is the first one, The Hangman's Daughter. Which, by the way, this is essentially, from what I know, this is a series about, I think she's the daughter of the Hangman, obviously, and the Hangman has a bit of an intimidating and scary reputation, and I think she gets involved in a mystery. Someone gets, there's, what looks like a monster is killing people. They believe it's witchcraft is involved, and this woman in the village is a witch or something. But I feel like with these kinds of stories, it's those, is it magic or isn't it magic? It's gonna turn out it's not gonna be magic, which is fine as long as I know that that's the case, then I'm okay with that. But sometimes I do get disappointed, and I'm like, I want it to be magic. I want it to be real magic. There's Sarah Waters' book, The Little Stranger, where it's like that, but they never officially tell you if it is or isn't magic. If they're really, it's not magic, it's actually paranormal, is there a ghost or not? They don't officially say it, but the main character, our narrator, the doctor, is he just thinks the family's crazy and they're just falling apart, and that the ghost represents the family's downfall or something. I think that's what someone said. That's what people have said. But I like to believe there really was a ghost. So, The Hangman's Daughter is the first book. The Dark Monk is the second one. And then the third book, there's 7 books altogether. So, obviously I don't have 7. The fourth one, the one that I ended up getting from the library that I DNF'd, at least for now, is The Werewolf of Banbridge. And I think that's book 4. So, this is book 3, I believe. It doesn't say in here. I think book 4 is the Werewolf of Banbridge, I think. I would have to look it up on Goodreads or something. But I believe this is the third book. I kind of like these covers. First of all, like I said, I love the deckled edges. I also like these covers and the French flaps. There's a map in here. You can tell this one is a little bit more beat up. It looks a little bogged down, a little watered down a bit. There's the map of the city. I like these covers. First, I like the typography. I like because sometimes simple, as other people said, simple is not a bad thing. Simple can be depending on the story, but I like the typography of the titles. And then there's always, in each of the books so far, there's something up top. It looks like in both the third and in this one, and then in the second one, there's some kind of object up here. That one looks like a mechanical arm. Wonder if you're in front of the Dark Monk is an automaton or something. That'd be kind of cool. And this one, like I said, is a hand of something, it looks like a poison or something. Maybe they tried to poison the king or something. And then, this one's obviously a little bit nicer, less beat up, because my mom just got it from Amazon. And then you have this one, which is this woman in red shoes, which I'm guessing is supposed to represent the witch, the feet of the witch. This would be, and I bet a lot of people would if this was, even though I haven't read it, I feel like this, by what I know so far, I feel like this is going to be a good TV show for BBC or something. It's just, it's mystery and it doesn't really have any magic in it, so I think it could be universally appealing. I know a lot of people, I think that's the problem, that's one of the things about fantasy, is not everybody is going to love, not everybody loves fantasy unless it has a bit of realism to it, I think that's why Game of Thrones was so popular, and I feel like Witcher is becoming very popular too. Although it's on shaky ground, because there were aspects of the first season, and to be fair, that's the only season that's out, that were a little rough and, confusing. People were a little, and I feel like that the limit of which, I'm sure once they figure things out and get, once they figure things out, then I think it could become a really good series, just as long as they do it right. But it doesn't have a lot of magic. It has monsters and stuff like that. And I think a lot of male viewers will like, that, although that sounds like a bit of a stereotype, but I think a lot of male viewers will like the monster aspect of it. And I think because it doesn't have a whole lot of magic in it, it does have a good amount, but it doesn't have, it's not like Harry Potter or Twilight, where it's just sometimes to people that are not used to the fantasy series and don't love the fantasy series, it can be a little bit too much and a little bit silly because it's unrealistic. I think if you want to get a fantasy show to be universally popular, I think you gotta have some semblance of less magic, less whimsy, and more realistic, more realism to get everybody to love it. And I think that's what Game of Thrones did a really good job, and I'm hoping that Witcher will also do a good job at that. So I'm getting one more book today, so I do not know what it's gonna be. But I am reading. So I'm almost done with the Barchester Towers, and it's getting really interesting. So everyone's now complete. The whole family, the Grantleys, and then Harding are worried that Eleanor is flirting a little bit too much with Slope, and that she might be interested in marrying the guy. And she is not. She doesn't like him. In fact, after she receives a letter from him. First of all, the letter starts with telling her that, okay, your dad gets the job back. And which, by the way, that's so messed up. Not only because he's basically doing Harding a favor, and Harding is not that kind of man. He wants to get the job on his own merits, or because he wants it. But what makes it even more messed up is the fact that the Quiverfuls, you meet the Quiverfuls, the people that the Proudies want, and Miss Proudy wants to give it to him, Mr. Quiverful, and they are not in a good situation. They are poor. They have a lot of kids they need to feed, and they don't make Mr. Quiverful does not make a lot of money. So they actually need it. He needs the job. And I'm sure if Harding knew about this, because he doesn't know about it, he just knows that Quiverful is the other option. If he knew that, I'm sure he would want Quiverful to have the job as the warden. He would want him to have it because he knows he's a good person, and he respects people. And if someone deserves it more than he does, then he is more than willing to give it to that person. And of course, he and his daughter are not aware of that, and Eleanor is trying to be loyal to her father. And then in this letter, not only does he say, "Oh, I got that job from your father," he also says some very inappropriate things. He refers to her beautiful tresses of golden hair, and I think she's a blonde, and he calls her son my darling boy, and that does bother her. But she doesn't realize how bad it looks to everybody else. Because everyone's like, he's the enemy. Why are you flirting with him? And she's not. He's just he was charming and nice to her, so she's being nice back. But she's now starting to be uncomfortable with this guy ever since he came by and started, was kind of, being a little too friendly with her and, being nice to her little boy Johnny, and she's starting to be like, okay, I don't like you anymore. I was nice to you before, but I'm not comfortable with you now. But she's not gonna ever be mean to the guy. She's never gonna be cold towards him. She's always gonna be nice and polite to him. Although after that letter, that might have changed. So she is disgusted by the letter, but she doesn't realize how bad it is. And she also doesn't understand that she thinks all these people are being prejudiced towards him and not giving him a chance, because even though she thinks he's a little slimy and a little like weird and stuff, she also feels like, well, maybe he does deserve the job, and you should at least be nice to him, because she's a nice person. She's a kind person. She's like her father. She believes in being nice to everybody and giving everybody a chance. And she thinks her family, her extended family, the Grantleys, are being prejudiced. And of course, Dr. Grantley is like, well, now you can't come in our house ever again because you're probably going to become Miss Slope. And when they finally communicate that, when he finally tells her, you're going to be Miss, I don't like your association with him, and I think you're going to be Miss Slope, she gets upset and runs away. And of course, he misinterprets that and thinks, oh, it's just confirmation of the crime she's guilty of. Like, he sees it as a sin, as a cardinal sin, as a crime that she might marry Mr. Slope, but she doesn't want to. And then worst of all is, like I said, I don't know if maybe there was something in the review or something or in the little bit of the introduction I read that implied that Arobin was a potential suitor. Because I don't want to take credit of figuring. I don't want to be like, oh, I'm so smart, I figured out that Arobin. If I read it somewhere, then implied that was gonna happen. Because then I would feel like a little like braggy and be like, oh, I figured that out on my own, even when I didn't figure that out. It was just something was implied that was gonna be the case. So it wasn't like I was clever and figured that and realized that on my own. But Arobin, he was there when she gets the letter. So and Grantley tells him, oh, she's going to become Miss Slope, and he doesn't realize that like, Arobin is starting to realize when he doesn't realize that Arobin has, when he heard that really hurt him, because he's starting to, even though in the beginning he said he wasn't interested in Eleanor that way, now that he can't have her, that she might be engaged to someone else, he's realizing he does like her. Because they've spent so much time together, and they have interesting conversations, and she's really pretty and stuff. So he starts to realize he's falling in love with her because he cannot have her. Which a lot of times people do that in a lot of modern stories. I feel like they do that kind of trope, especially the young adult, like teen drama stories, where someone doesn't, at the time they are friends with them, but they don't think of them in a romantic way, but then all of a sudden they can't have them anymore, and then they realize, they start to really see them in a different way. I mean, that's what happened on Buffy with Buffy's best friends Willow and Xander, were like, Willow was in love with Xander, but he didn't see her in that way. But then all of a sudden she gets a boyfriend and starts like showing her a more feminine side to herself, and he starts to realize he doesn't have her loyal and devoted to him anymore. I mean, not that she's not loyal, because of course she's loyal to Xander, but she's all of a sudden not devoted to Xander, and he's like, he's jealous, and he starts to realize he doesn't have her anymore, and he can't have her. She will never be on his, be his little puppy dog that follows him around and crushes on him. She's now got a boyfriend. And I feel like that's what's happening here, is that Arobin has realized that Eleanor could be married to Slope, and he already, like everybody else, hates the guy. Finds out that Eleanor is going to marry him, or at least that's what everyone believes, that she's going to marry him, and he doesn't, and he realizes he lost his chance. He might have just lost his chance to be with her. It's like, light bulb went off kind of moment. And the scene when he goes, first that's kind of an adorable scene, because he's struggling with telling her how he feels. He can't just straight out say that I have feelings for you, I don't want you to marry this other guy, I want you to marry me. He can't just straighten up and say it. And he's asking her, so are you gonna be with Mr. Slope? And she's, of course, all indignant and still kind of mad about it, because he was talking to Grantley about it the other night at the dinner, so she's already pretty pissed at him, and so she's being all stubborn about it, and is like, I'm not gonna answer that question, whenever they keep asking. So he's like, so just tell me, be honest, and tell me, are you gonna marry Slope? And And she's being all prideful about it. It's like, no, I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to justify that with the answer. And part of me, the more petty part of me is like, okay, I get it. I get you, because you're kind of annoyed that this guy's assuming that. And I was mad at everybody because I feel like even her own sister and even her father are like, and her father, at least though with her father, he will stay loyal to her. Everyone else is like, Grantley's like, you're going to lose all your friends if you marry Slope. But her father's like, okay, I'm gonna stay loyal to you. Yeah, I will be disappointed if you marry this guy, but I'm gonna still stay loyal and be your loving father. And that makes me so mad because not her father, but everyone else being like, well, we're gonna turn our backs on you if you marry Slope. And it's like, I know you hate the guy and he's the enemy and stuff, and I don't like Slope either. But you're gonna really reject her because of that? I feel so bad for Eleanor because if she was interested, which she's not interested in Slope at all in that way. In fact, she's kind of disturbed by him, how he's being inappropriate. She's like, and she doesn't, like, she's annoyed that he calls her son his darling boy. And she's like, no, he's my son. You can't have him. You can't, like, you're not my husband. You have no right to my son. And she was bothered by that. And slowly, as she reads it for the second time, she's like, okay, wait a second. This guy is crossing some lines. And so she does realize it. She does have some idea. She just doesn't realize, like I said, she just doesn't realize how bad it looks. And how, she doesn't realize, like, these people are all assuming the worst, and that all assuming, oh, you're gonna marry this guy now. And then when, like I said, when she finds out that's what they believe, she, pride kicks in and stubbornness, and she's like, she doesn't explain to these people, like, look, I am not interested in Slope in that way. In fact, like you, I'm starting to realize that he's not a likable person, like, he's a bit slimy. But again, she's being stubborn. She's like, I'm not going to dignify that with an answer. But, so everything's just, I cannot stand Grantley. Like, I know, it's funny though, even in the warden, the author has said, the narrator has said that, oh, Grantley's not that bad. He has some good points too. It's just for this, he's not gonna look that great. He's not gonna look that great throughout, and I think the narrator even said he's not gonna look great at all throughout the series. But I don't know for sure. I don't remember for sure if he actually said that. I would need to reread it, or at least look through the book and see that. It's close to the end, so it won't be that hard to find. But yeah, I think the narrator implied that, oh, Grantley's not that bad. He's some good traits too, and I think he really does respect her father, and respect Harding, and like consider him a friend and stuff, but he gets some authoritative, and he thinks, well, I have a right, because Eleanor doesn't have a brother, so I have a right to tell her what to do. And unfortunately, though, even though my first thought is, no, you do not, I think that society would tell otherwise in this time period, that yes, he does, because he's the male, he's the one. If her father doesn't say anything, he has a right to take control of her life, and which, like I said, I disagree with, but I wonder if that society would think differently, would say, well, no, he does have that right. But yeah, I feel so bad for Eleanor. She's getting such a hard time. And on top of that, there's the dean. I guess the dean of the church is dying. He's an old dude. He's like, actually, which surprisingly, he's in his 70s. So that would have been ancient for this time period. I think they said 70s, and so he's pretty old, and he's dying, and some of the people on the the religious council, whatever they would be called, are like, oh, let's make Mr. Slope the dean, and of course Grantley's like, hell no, that ain't gonna happen. He needs to go away. Which. So it's like, oh, great. Now half the people want to make him the dean, and I don't know how much authority a dean has, but it's like, oh, that's all we need. Not only do Grantley and the rest of that family think, oh, Eleanor's going to marry this guy, now there are people that want to make the guy the dean, and it's like, no, great. That's just what these people need. More of a reason to be like, great, let's give him more authority. But and Miss Prouty is so I don't know if I'm saying her name right, that family name right, but she's definitely mad because Slope went behind her back and was trying to get in with Eleanor because she has a lot of money. She's so getting her father, so she's pissed about that and trying to tell the Quiverfuls, and then Quiverful's wife, Miss Quiverful, decides to go to her. That's how Prouty finds out that she goes to her and tries to be like, look, my husband deserves this more than Harding does. And she doesn't know Harding, but unfortunately, she doesn't really know that Harding would probably give Quiverful the wardenship if he knew how much this guy needed it. He would give it to him in a heartbeat. But she doesn't know Harding, so all she knows is Harding is her husband's rival, and her husband is just like Harding is a little too soft-hearted in her eyes, and so she goes to her husband to talk to him. Is like, look, you need to give this to Quiverful, not to Harding. But of course, Slope is there talking to him, and he finally, which is so funny. I'm like throughout this, I'm like Prouty, Dr. Prouty, get a backbone, stand up to your wife, and he kind of does in that scene. He kind of stands up, but I think he should also stand up to Mr. Slope too. Just Slope. He does not. They're both have him wrapped around their little fingers, and they're both controlling him, and he doesn't want to do. He's just so passive and doesn't want to do anything. Doesn't want to deal with it. Wants to leave business to his wife and Slope, and he finally kind of stands up to Slope as like, you need to leave. And of course, she's pissed about that. He's like, I'm your wife. And she's so used to running things and wearing the pants in the family, or the collar, I should say. But he's like, I don't know what she's going to do. I know in some reviews I've read on Goodreads, they didn't spoil what she does, but some people seem to imply that she does something that a reviewer said, oh, well, it was of good intentions, but she did it for selfish reasons, kind of thing. So I don't know what she's going to do now. I'm very curious what she's going to do. I'm kind of nervous how far she's going to go. And I don't know who's going to get it and who is, well, actually, I do know who Eleanor's going to end up with in the end, because, even in the introduction, which I should not have read, but I feel like with these kinds of novels, it's going to have a happy ending either way. Just like a Jane Austen novel, it's going to be a happy ending. At least for the main characters. So, I am slowly I'm reading a little bit more day by day of The Way of Kings again. I'll definitely need to read a little bit more of this one today. Today. But, so, Kaladin is still working his way, trying to gain the friendship of his bridge crew and everything, and trying to make things better for them. And then, see, look, like I said, look how beautiful this book is. You can tell it's been loved. I love this copy. This was not a used copy. This was actually bought at Books A Million, so it's been. I'm the one who did the beating up, but mostly I've read the most of what I read so far has to do with Dalinar, and his son is still kind of questioning his whole belief in these visions he's been having, and these visions keep telling him to trust Sadeas, and Sadeas is just being a little bit I don't know if I trust him. I think I'm kind of on his son's side in this, but I always like to believe that the magic aspect is true, and that Dalinar is really having visions. But the visions keep telling him to trust Sadeas, and I'm not sure if he should. And of course, Aladin finally, Adalon finally was like, "Look, Dad, your visions, you're old. You're probably imagining things, and you just stop believing in these visions, and you need to go after. You can't trust that. You got to stop trusting Sadeas, and you can't We have to do something. We can't just sit here and do nothing. And and there was something that he was, I don't remember what it was. He was saying that they need to stop doing something because the visions are like telling him that they shouldn't be doing this. And then his son is like, doesn't agree, and he kind of snaps at him. Of course, the son feels bad, but he still believes what he believes. But he feels bad. He does, in the last thing I read, was he apologizes to his dad, is like, look, I still think the way I do, and I think it needed to be said, but I shouldn't have yelled at you like that. I should have been a little more patient with you, and and his dad is like, for the sake of arguing, and the fact that they're getting ready to go to battle with the Parshendi, he's like, okay, I accept that apology, and I don't know if you're right or not. I still believe what I believe, but we need to focus on this. And of course, Thaddeus, who has been the High Prince of Information, is figuring out what's going on with the saddle and if the king really needs to be worried. And Adelon, that's one of the things he's worried about. He is worried about, which is that Thaddeus is going to make them look bad and frame them, and he thinks Thaddeus hates them, and I don't, And Thaddeus seems to be trying to provoke Dalinar. He seems to be trying to provoke him to get angry again, because there's hints of his past in this one. And I've also, Daniel Green and Elliot Brooks have talked about it, that we do find out in one of the books that in Dalinar's past, and it's hinted throughout this book too, so what I've read so far, that Dalinar was not a saintly man. He did some bad things. He did some terrible things, and he was known as the Black Thorn on the battlefield. So, and he's trying to become that again in this battle between the Parshendi and gain the gem hearts. And he's trying to be that, but then every so often throughout the battle scenes, he's starting to have these moments of disturbed by his actions. He does not like it, but then he's like, because if he gives into those moments, then they could lose the battle. So he's like, okay, I gotta get myself together, and, even though it happens twice, he pulls himself together. He's like, okay, we gotta win this war. We won't win this war if I get a little squeamish. So that's as far as I got with this one. Like I said, I've been reading it, the little bit I've read so far is when I'm in bed, which when you're in bed, you start, you're very comfortable and you start falling asleep as you're reading. Unless you're just not tired or, you have caffeine in your system. And then, like I said, I'll bring books with me to work, and I only get a 15-minute break. So, which I hope since they haven't called me yet, although I should probably check my phone, that I might not. I'm also afraid to check my phone, though. I mean, I never heard it ring early this morning, but I'm nervous that I'm going to check it, and I'm going to see that they called, and they're going to ask me to come in today. But I feel like I should, because, I'm home, so I can go in this week. Because the original plan was my parents were going on a vacation for my dad's 60th, and they were going to leave me at my grandma's house with our dogs. But because of what's going on right now, this virus and everything, they had to cancel their plans again, and so now I'm home and able to go to work. But so I told them again yesterday that I was available. But anyway, so I've been reading it then. No, I haven't got very far in it. I mean, I'm pretty good chunk. Like, enough to where I don't want to start over. Like, because sometimes if I only got a few pages in, or a small, chunk like this in, then maybe I will start over. But if I've got a pretty good chunk in the way, into the book, then yeah, I won't start over. But I gotta read this. So I'll read a little bit more of that today. And then I need to finish, I don't know if I'll finish Barchester's Towers today or not. Because, like I said, I want to read a good chunk of Way of Kings today as well. I also, non-literary related, non-bookish related, although it kind of is because it's inspired by a fairy tale, is I finally watched Frozen 2, which I don't know why I couldn't think of the title at that moment, because it's not that hard. I loved it. It was awesome. I love all the nature spirits. I thought that was really cool. I like how it expands the world so much. You go beyond the kingdom of Arendelle in this book. A movie. It's not a book. It's a movie. You go way beyond Arendelle, and the music is great. I mean, and I love the one song that everybody loves, that all the little kids try to sing, Into the Unknown. I love that one, but I also love all the other songs too. And there was actually a discussion on the right after I finished watching the movie, I was like, okay, I better start memorizing these songs so I can actually sing them. And I was looking at the videos for songs, like the song "The Next First Step" or "The Next Step" or something. I don't remember the title, but it's a song that Anna sings, not Anna, Anna. The one that Anna sings after, she's not in a good place right now. That's all I'm gonna say. And she's singing this song about, what she needs to do now. And there's comments about it saying, I don't know why too bad all the little kids love Elsa over Anna because, Anna's so strong and everything. And there's, of course, this whole thing about, what I was thinking was, well, of course all the little kids love Elsa because she's all pretty. She's has the beautiful white hair and the awesome dress, and she has the ice powers and everything. So it's like, of course, a little girl is like, oh, I want the ice powers. I love her songs, Let It Go, because she has I don't entirely agree with this because I love Anna's songs too, but especially in this movie, she has even more songs in this one. But she has the song, Elsa has the Let It Go, and every little kid loves singing Let It Go, and then now she has Into the Unknown, and I think that's the new popular song everybody loves. So I think I get why everyone, and she has the beautiful dress. Who doesn't? People like Anna's dresses. I love Anna, but her dresses are a little more plain, while Anna has the sparkly dress. So of course every little girl is going to want the sparkly dress, to wear the sparkly dress for a costume. Although one person said that her niece or cousin or her niece was, loves Anna. And then there were some people who were like, I love them both and they're different, which I agree. Both are different and are strong in their own ways. But a little girl is not going to be thinking, but Anna is so strong and confident, so strong emotionally and confident. They're going to be just thinking, Elsa has the ice powers and the beautiful dress. So, but oh my god, I love this. And Anna, speaking of Anna, she just comes so much into her own in this book. I keep calling it a book. In this movie, she comes into her own in this one. She really makes a name for herself. Really is able to. I won't she really becomes a lot stronger. Like in the first movie, she was so naive and impressionable. And then, she's still feisty and brave and was willing to go find her sister on her own with a little help from Kristoff when she meets him. But in this one, she really is forced to be on her own. Not just because, she really has to do her part in this adventure that they're on. Not just finding her sister, but she really has to be the one she has a part to play. She has to take action. And a part of me still would love if she had a nature power, but the way they went about it, I'm happy with that. But like I said, I think it would be cool if she had a power, like she can control an element like her sister, like if she could, but that's okay. And I get why people are like, no, let's not, why does she have to have a power too? But I'm, drink some of my coffee before it gets too cold. Too late. It's kind of warm. It's kind of cool. So I'll have to I'll reheat it. But like I said, one of my favorite aspects are all the different little spirits. That's so they have all these little, one of those spirits is a fire spirit, and I love the fire spirit. I really shouldn't say anymore because I shouldn't spoil if you haven't seen the movie yet. But I love the fire spirit. I love all the different spirits. And the forest is so cool looking. I like the imagery of the forest. You get a glimpse of it in and of course you see it in the commercials and stuff, but it's such cool with all the trees and all the colorful leaves and stuff. It's kind of very autumn like. In the it's a very autumn look. There's a very autumn look to it. And it's so, as an adult watching these, it's always so funny because you see like these adult actors that I see these I hear the voices of these adult actors that parents know. Like there's an adult actor who plays a character in this movie that my parents know from This Is Us, the show This Is Us, which is, and I'm like, oh, I know that voice, but everyone else that would watch this movie might not know it except for the parents that would take their little kids to see the movie or would watch it with them. They probably do recognize the guy's voice. But, yeah, that's what happened with, an actor who was on Grey's Anatomy. He played in a couple episodes. More than a couple, probably like a few episodes. He was like a recurring character. And he was also in The Walking Dead. Currently in The Walking Dead. But he was on one of my shows in Supernatural. So my dad knows him from Walking Dead. My mom knows him from Grey's Anatomy, and I know him from Supernatural. So it's always weird because it's like we never watched. It's very rare when we all like the same shows. So it's funny when I recognize an actor. It's like, oh, they're oh my god, I know them from this show that my mom likes or this show that my dad likes. But then they wouldn't necessarily know. They wouldn't know about their performance in my show. They may like each other's. They might know each other's shows, but they wouldn't know my shows. So it's just really funny. But yes, Frozen. Frozen 2 was awesome, and I don't get why people don't like. I don't get that. I know that not everybody. I mean, everyone is entitled to their opinion and taste, but I personally don't get why people. I just don't get why people don't like it because I think it was awesome personally, but to each their own. And like I said, I'm kind of hoping because I know Terry was saying when she saw it, she was a little like, it was like, but I don't get that. And then she was like, she admitted she was kind of tired, so I'm hoping that's just the case that she just happened to be tired, and that's why she fell asleep at the movie. Because I mean, it was I think they saw it on a Wednesday night. Yeah, on a Wednesday night because she's off on Thursdays and she goes to see if. Like, she normally would go visit her mom. She would leave Wednesday night, and I think they saw the movie on a Wednesday night, so that's probably why she was tired. But yeah, they have this, like, one of those theaters that's, like, it's only a couple dollars, and so they go to the movie. They will sometimes go to the movies when she goes to visit her mom as a family. They will go. And I think she saw it with them, but I think she admitted that she was kind of tired, so I'm hoping that's the case, because I wouldn't understand that if she didn't. I mean, in fact, though, it's the one thing that a lot of times we have things in common, is that we both like certain things. I mean, she was just like, in fact, she was just telling me about it, she reminded me of a show that she's talked about before, and she's like, I think you would like it, and, I try to be like, okay, well, maybe I would, because I don't normally like people directly telling me that, oh, you should check out the show, or I think you'll like the show, or have you watched the show yet? Or read this book, or whatever. It's like, I will get to it when I get to it, okay? And so, and in fact, I almost want to not watch it because people keep telling me, oh, you should watch the show. I almost want to not watch it because of that, because I'm like, even though I'm sure they're right, part of me is like rebelling in me, like, no, just because you say I like it doesn't mean I'll like it. But when Terry remembered it, it was telling me and said, oh, I think you'll like it. I was like, I decided, I'm like, oh, I probably will, and that's all I said, because, I probably would like it, but, I don't know if I'll ever watch it, but I'm sure if I did watch it, I would like it. I just haven't got around to it, and it might be one of those shows that would be a little hard. I wouldn't just easily be able to get access to it. And anyway, so that is what's going on with me, literally. Oh, one other little thing is, I might watch The Man Who Invented Christmas, even though it's not Christmas time. I might watch it anyway, because that's the other one I got for my birthday, which I showed to you guys on a video on my birthday haul. I got that one as well for my sister. Like, with Frozen, with Frozen 2, I can get away with watching that one, because there's not, like, a reference to Christmas anything. It's just, our main character has ice powers. But, I think you can get away with watching that one during the summertime or winter time, summertime or springtime, because it wouldn't I mean, not that you can do whatever you want. But you know, some people feel like, oh, I should watch this movie during Christmas time, you know, during winter time because it's a winter movie, or this is a summer movie, or something, or a book, or a summer book, or a spring book. Which actually there is for Seven on Sunday. There's a prompt about that. What are books that, whenever season it is for your neck of the woods, what books would you read specifically? And I don't have that, so I might not answer that one. Luckily, I was able to do the Seven on Sunday for this past week, which was pick your underhype. Talk about underhyped books. I'm glad I was able to do that one. But yeah, I don't think I'll be able to do the next one. Anyway, so I might watch it though, The Man Who Invented Christmas, because even though it's not Christmas time, I might watch it anyway because I just want to watch it. I mean, it was on HBO the other day, so you know, why not? I might watch it anyway, you know, even if it's not the right season for it. Plus, it might get me motivated it might remind me how I need to read David Copperfield soon. But I'm trying to get this book done first before I jump into another classic. Okay, so okay, now that really is all that I have to say. So, if you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell notification below to see when I post new videos. And if you guys are reading anything good right now, love to hear about it in the comments. I hope you guys are enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later. Alright, bye!